Welcome to the Wrestling Philosophy Show, where we discuss unique perspectives and beliefs on the sport of wrestling. Give us a follow or subscribe on various social media platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Enjoy the show.
We welcome back Josh Malave, now with Case Western Reserve Universite. He shares with us how Case is an endowed program with the help of Nike, the changes within the NCAA, and some of the coaches he respects in the D3 wrestling world. Welcome back, Coach Malave.
Thank you.
Back
Thank you.
After a few months in different colors now, right? 2 weeks in at Case about, right?
Yep. Well, yeah. So finishing up. So this Friday will be 2 weeks in. So started the 12th.
Awesome. I'm sure you're already plugging away, getting in, making plans. So what have you realized in 2 weeks? Is it what you thought? What's different? What's going on?
Yeah. So the first 2 weeks have really been a whirlwind. Just meeting the team. So trying to schedule. Opportunities, whether it's Zoom or, we have some kids that are still on campus. So just trying to get together, with the current team members, get to know them, build that relationship, and then trying to finalize a recruiting class. So we're going to have a pretty small 2021 class coming in. So we have 2 kids from California committed right now, and then maybe another kid from Massachusetts, but and that'll unfortunately, maybe one more, like we also talked about John, so maybe one more, so maybe 4 is probably where it's going to cap. But, just trying to, tackle, those boxes. And then also April is budget time. So trying to put together a budget within, 5 days, put together a schedule, for 2022, for next season. And, and then start recruiting for 2022, which, so I've been canvassing Ohio and, just basically kind of working down my list, firing off emails and getting going. So that's really been, it's been full of activity. So.
Right. Not always a fun conversation, but budgeting, right? You've come from Mount Union, now you're there. What's it look like there? Do you get a lot of donors that follow, or are they kind of loyal to Mount Union, or how's that look like?
Yeah, so we had, at Mount, I was very fortunate to, work with Coach Don Montgomery. He was our director of advancement there. And so we had a lot of people like Sean Brown and, Rob Vetterall, and, Mike Alfredo. We had a bunch of people at Mount that were donating to us on a consistent basis. And Steve Harder was another one, making sure that, we were able to have the things that we needed because our budget in some areas was lacking. But what's really cool about Case, we're an endowed wrestling program.
Oh, wow.
So, really we have a lot of resources, and we're endowed as a wrestling program. And then we also have what's called the Rudy Endowment. So we also have a Nike endowment for shoes and singlets and bags. So we actually had a professor here that developed the Nike Air Sole. And so, and then left an endowment for the program. So, our guys get hooked up. So actually in my office, they just dropped off like really nice varsity jackets and really nice Nike bags and things like that. So it's in a lot of areas, the resources are just drastically different. But, at Mount, that was an endowment of, maybe 140 mil. The endowment at Case is almost 2 billion, so
holy cow.
It's just
drastic.
a different world, in terms of resources.
Holy cow. That's awesome. I did not know that. That's a pretty wild fact about Nike there. That's sweet. Nice.
That's awesome, man.
Heck yeah. So obviously, talk about leaving Mount, but your coaching staff there, what left behind some, solid coaching staff. What's it looking like at Case?
Well, Gavin is going to be in the interview process for Mount. And so, I'm really excited, to kind of see how that process shakes out, and really excited, for him. And, there's going to be a couple other really talented guys in that pool that have reached out to me. So I think Mount will be in really good shape. But I'm going to bring, with me, Coach Fitzgerald, who's been with me for the last 2 years. Coach Thomas, who primarily helps me just with recruiting and kind of helping me build my board. Same with Ross Whitson. Both of those guys are high school coaches in Ohio, but they really help me organize, and kind of canvas Ohio, and they do a lot, for me, and just kind of on the ground and helping be my eyes and ears and help me acquire information. But then I'm also looking, I've been in contact with, a couple guys that have, wrestled for me at Mount Union, that are from this area, and then actually one wrestler from John Carroll, and then a graduate from here. So, right now I've mentioned budgets. We're not set yet on exactly what stipends, what positions I have available. So once I get that, we'll start making, some announcements, and we'll start, of course, it's got to make sense for those guys too. But really, I want to bring in someone that can run the room. Not that I'm not going to be a part of that, but I really want to spend these 2 years recruiting and just kind of focusing on that. So I'm looking for guys to, really help out and practice. And with our academic schedule, I need more coaches to help out because we don't have like a true practice time. So I need more coaches with some flexibility to, help with small group practice sessions to make sure guys, get what they need. So, it's going to take a lot of communication and flexibility, but I think it could be a really good thing.
That's awesome. That sounds like a good thing already. Just digging in here. You're closer to home too, right? So,
Yeah.
so who are you excited to, I guess, work with, and why? I mean, being closer to home.
Yeah, so I mean, you just had Josh Moore, on at Cleveland State, and so when I was hired, Boomer reached out to me, his assistant coach, and I'd mentioned to him, some sort of partnership, and of course for us it's going to take a couple years to get there, but I'd like to, like I did at Mount Union with Samurai and Coach Coleman, I'd like to build our freestyle and Greco, presence, and so partner with the Cleveland RTC and what they have going on at Cleveland State. They also did a really nice job, Danny and Josh and Mark, at Carroll, they did a nice job putting together like an opening event, kind of Cleveland schools. And so I'd really like to continue that. Jamie at BW does an amazing job. So, we're going to head to his event, and then obviously I want to help support schools like Hiram. So Coach Vogel down at Hiram, build that. But at the high school level, I mean, you can't go wrong. You have Kolzicki, you have the Burnett's, I know Scotty, who we talked about before, he's obviously out in Perrysburg, but trying to partner, with them, Kabbalah at Arsenal, and there's just a wealth of great coaches in this area, and I don't want to continue. I don't want to offend anybody for leaving it out, but those are just some people that just Will Knight at Shakers, another one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one to be connected with in the area. So those are just a couple people, and plenty more that excited to connect with at the high school level and the college level.
Nice. 2 weeks in, like we mentioned. What are some things you want to start doing there? Maybe change there. Or I guess what are some things that Coach Song had instilled there that you're going to continue to do?
Yeah, so we've the first thing, Coach Song did a great job, overall with the program, but then also with hosting events. So we plan on continuing on the Ohio Intercollegiate Open. We're going to continue the Cy Ostrich meet, which is named after a professor here at the school that also helped contribute to our endowment for the wrestling program. So we have a couple honorary events. We also, speaking with my AD here, in my direct sport report, we want to start doing some things to honor, Del Rosa, who's a longtime coach, and there's a couple others that we want to make sure that we really celebrate their contributions here. So Coach Song did an amazing job. The Intercollegiate Open is going to be a priority here, and something that we're going to work, to continue to build. From my end, I'd love to expand, like I mentioned in freestyle and Greco, and maybe, host like a USA, Ohio, team camp or training camp here on campus at some point. I'd like to, host maybe an OAC event, with you guys or work with you guys. I know that none of the Northeast Ohio, schools would want to give that up probably. I'm sure that's
Right.
those events that's going to be tough sledding there, but there's lots of different opportunities. Want to be active and involved in the community. In some ways that also might be remotely at different sites. So I've talked with Coach DeAngelis at Independence, about working with him on a couple events, and it just would make more sense instead of having everybody come to downtown Cleveland to maybe kind of work in a suburb. So, those are just some things, just off the top of my head that, we would want to work to continue.
Awesome.
or try to do.
Right. You're been in the, coaching at the D3 level for a while here, right? How many years in?
So this is going to be 6.
Nice.
Yeah,
So
5 years at Mount, and then this will be 6.
So you're kind of in, you have the landscape, you kind of know what's going on. Who are, bouncing outside of maybe Ohio? Who are some, or you stick within Ohio, but not to promote other programs, but anyone out there that's kind of underrated that in your eyes, maybe not necessarily, what you're seeing on the mat results, but someone that you've kind of, partnered with or kind of, worked alongside or kind of respect in the D3 world that doesn't get that,
Yeah, I'll say probably someone in the D3 world that doesn't get a lot of credit is Kyle Quiet at Ohio Northern.
Okay.
That guy is a heck of a recruiter out there. They quietly over the past couple of years have just had really, really solid recruiting classes. They're going to be really good. And so Ron obviously is a staple,
right.
In college wrestling. And so, that I'm not diminishing his contribution, but I really think Kyle, has really helped orchestrate a lot of their recruiting efforts, and he's done a really good job. Jason Zastro at BW has done an amazing job as well with Jamie. He's a fantastic coach. They're outside of Ohio. Well, actually, I don't know if Bergmeyer's still going to be with Ohio Wesleyan, but I really loved what he was doing at Muskingum. And then I think he'll be, if he stays with Ohio Wesleyan, I think he's a really great assistant coach. But he just got a job with Rudis, so I don't know.
Right, I seen it.
Yeah, I don't know what his what his plans are. Coach Spielman, obviously, Gavin, I think is an amazing coach. That a lot of people don't know about. I try to promote him every chance I get, but he's someone that I think has done an amazing job and does wonders with connecting with kids. Outside of Ohio, the Loris associate head coach, Trevor Kittleston, he's a monster, and just they, so they beat Wartburg in a duel, and they stopped that streak. And he's someone I'm really close to and has done a good job. And Pankeel Chandler up at Springfield. Sorry, I don't know why I was going to say Springboro there for a second, but Springfield College in Massachusetts. He was at Gettysburg for a while and wrestled at Wilkes, and I think he's a really solid coach. So those are a couple guys that I think are really, really good. There's a lot more, but those are some guys that I think do a heck of a job, in their respective areas.
Right. And then, so obviously this year the D3 scene was kind of chaotic, right? I guess. Yep. Any long-term impact you see other than coaching changes that you see, with D3 wrestling from this past year, or anything you kind of see coming down the road with it?
Yeah, I'm really interested with this year to see what the COVID year, in terms of eligibility, what type of impact that has. How schools are going to utilize, that, and also the NCAA is working on. I'm not sure if it's completely passed yet, but there's 2 things that I think are huge. So the NCAA one-time transfer exemption rule that they just put through or should be approved here, I think is a game changer at every level. Where you can just basically go wherever you want, no questions asked. Don't really need it, to explain yourself. That's huge. Mm-hmm. And then, and that's not me saying, one way or the other. I think athletes should have the ability to choose where they want to wrestle.
So is that your side, kind of your opinion that they should be able?
I think, I think they should, be able to, choose. I think it's a big decision. I do think that it kind of opens up, some issues, but those are, you know, that's going to happen anyway, right? We have very similar issues now, in terms of, we have coaches that contact prior to release and all, we have
Right.
all that stuff that happens. We have, what at the professional level they call tampering, so like we have tampering anyway. So, there people are going to find a way, right? But the other big thing is they just, I don't know if they've approved it yet, but they talked about allowing kids to be full-time. So with the effects of COVID, they could take 6 credit hours each semester and be full-time. So they could be part-time status, but then still technically be full-time for competition.
For competition eligibility.
I think that, that in itself, financially is a huge game changer at the Division III level, where you might see more kids come back that previously there would have been no reason for them to be full-time, or pursue a post-bac if it didn't make sense for their career. So, those are some things that I'm interested to see how they shake out. Here at Case, we have a lot of work to do. So, we're going to be building and growing. And so we're going to miss out on a little bit of that window. But, like the program that I just left, there's a handful of seniors that I hope that they utilize that opportunity to compete again, because and there's other schools across the country too, where I hope those kids utilize it because they deserve it. So
what's Case known for academically, for those listening that are curious?
Oh yeah, I mean, so engineering is probably our key, staple, but pre-med, nursing, law or pre-law, our Weatherhead School of Management, so business.
Right.
We have a handful of different humanities programs, connections with the arts and sciences. So you can really get it all here at Case, but we have a handful of elite programs. So we're a top 50 school in the country. We're a tier 1 research-based university located in a major city. There's not many of those around the country. And we operate in a lot of ways like an Ivy League school. So, we have a lot of opportunity here for prospective student athletes that are looking to receive an elite level education. And then also my goal is to, rebuild this program. So at the center is, family, academics, faith, if they believe, and then using, like we've talked about before, using athletics to, help drive that forward. So that's the ultimate, goal here. But those are some of the things that we're known for.
I guess taking the job on, like you said, there's a lot of work to be done. I guess what was the why? Why Case?
Yeah. So, this might sound strange, but, I'm a builder. So I'm attracted, I guess, I'm attracted to things that, some people might say, why would you do that? So Firelands, for example, when I went to Firelands, we had like 6 kids on the team, and the program, wasn't in great shape, and but there was a ton of potential, and we were able to, and that's not just me, but with the help of a lot of people, we were able to turn that around, and we won our first conference championship, there in I think 19 or 20 years. And then when I went to Mount, everybody was like, well, you're not going to beat BW, so why would you go there? BW's rolling, and within a couple of years, we had beaten them. And here at Case, same thing. Everybody's like, well, you're not going to be able to recruit there. Well, in my mind, I had kids at Mount Union that shouldn't have been at Mount Union, right. So, so at the same reason, or I guess same kind of train of thought, for me, it's just selling the degree, selling the brand, selling, the experience that they're going to get here. And I felt like at Mount, just for me personally, I felt like, there wasn't going to be much more growth with our administration and just kind of the direction that things were going. I felt like we were just kind of capped there, that they really didn't care about any any kind of upward trajectory, like, okay, hey, you're a great program, you're top 5 or, top 3, or you could be, you can compete for a national championship. I felt like that really wasn't going to change anything in the grand scheme of things. So when my wife and I, when we talked about it, it was, and this opportunity, it just made a lot of sense. Come here, do our best to rebuild and try to, build off of Danny's foundation and help grow this program. But I also think that there's a lot of untapped potential here. So those are just kind of, some things that, for the why, kind of answer that question. But I've gotten it a lot recently.
No,
a lot of people are like, what the heck are you doing? But I like that. That's also motivating in some ways.
Yeah, you're definitely a builder. Almost, from outside looking in, a goal, right? You're very goal oriented, and which as a coach you need that, right? You touched on family, moving closer to home. Wife, obviously, you have to, in wrestling, you have to have the family involved. There, it doesn't work, right? You mentioned on Coach Cimarrone's Blood Time podcast that you came from a single parent home, right? Wrestling, it's tough, in a normal setting home, or whatever it may be. What advice, there's parents out there in the sport, coaches out there in the sport that are coaching, single parent kids or whatever it may be. What would your words of wisdom be?
Well, this might sound a little strange, but let the coaches coach, and as a parent, my mom didn't know anything about wrestling. She didn't know really anything about the sport, and so, but she let our coaches, be great mentors to us. And so, I was very fortunate to have Coach Wrestler, Coach Vassilov, Coach Sanger, a handful of other guys, Coach Dennis, that, it was more than just wrestling. It was, you're at Lutheran West to get a great education. And that was my mom's goal. So that's why she worked as hard as she did. She sent us to Lutheran West, to receive the best possible education that we can. Because we would have been Cleveland Public, and that's not to disparage anybody that's going through those schools or to knock those, but she wanted us to have a chance to go to college, and she felt that was the best opportunity for us. But what I would tell them is just let the coaches coach, but then also trust in what the sport teaches. So for me, as much as I enjoy winning, and you've known me for a little bit now, I'm about as sore of a loser as they come. I didn't learn that from wrestling. I learned that from being a little brother. They got beat up a lot and lost a lot, but I'm about as competitive as they come. And so what I would tell them is just allow them to let the sport teach them valuable lessons. And I think sometimes within wrestling, we get caught up too much in the trophies and the wins and all these different things. And in some ways, some people might say it's cliche, to say that you're going to, learn hard work, and you're going to learn, dedication and perseverance and all those things, but it's true. It's true.
Right.
I was a terrible high school wrestler to start. Terrible, absolutely awful. I think I won 11 and 15 or something my first year of high school wrestling, and as Coach Wrestler, probably 9 were forfeits, so I might have had 3 wins right as a freshman. But in that transformation of going from maybe a 3-win high school wrestler, I'm not a blue blood. I didn't come from this amazing program. Coming from maybe a 3-win high school wrestler to in my last 2 years of high school, I think I was I don't know, 80 and 10, or I don't know, and so it's or something like that. It's so just putting things in perspective, just allow the sport to teach, allow the coaches to do their job, and then do, if you're looking at college, right, if you're looking at the prospect, or you're someone that doesn't know, lean on resources and lean on a great network. It's people like yourself, And I haven't run into too many college or too many high school coaches and too many people connected within the sport that aren't willing to help you get to the next level. So,
Right.
Lean on those people and ask questions. So sometimes pride gets in the way. That would be kind of my
Right.
thought for it.
But pride, it's a balancing act, right? You gotta have that pride. You gotta have the ego, especially in wrestling, right? It's a balancing act, right? And
Right.
you just gotta do it, right? You just gotta battle through it. Like you said, there's tough times, but you don't learn how to ride a bike by watching YouTube, right? You got to get out there and get on the bike and fall and get back on it, right?
Absolutely.
So, any good books? I know last time you talked about one of your favorite books. Anything you read or anything you want to read this summer?
1861.
Okay.
So 1861 is actually my father-in-law bought it for me, and so here I'm gonna pull it up here in a second.
What's the premise of the book?
So the book, so it's written by Adam Goodhart, and so the book, what I like about it is it doesn't talk at all. So this is the book. So I don't know if you can see it.
Okay.
So what I like about it, it doesn't talk about the battles, right? It doesn't talk about the actual fighting. It gives you the build up to the Civil War, and it also highlights, it highlights actually Ohio. What a key focal point that Ohio played.
Okay.
In terms of, we sent the largest contingent of soldiers per capita to fight for the Union. Also, Ohio from that point on became such a critical piece in the presidential election. So literally up until this year, where Trump won Ohio. Prior to this year, or I'm sorry, 2020, the election in 2020, every single president from that point in time had won Ohio, or
Really?
all but one. And so they highlight, they talk about that. They also talk about just kind of some of the emerging issues. And what's funny is some of those things are the same today. They're it's not incredibly different. So history can be a roadmap and a guide, and it can give you a lot of perspective. And so that's one that I would recommend to anybody. To me, the book is almost like a movie in a weird sense. You read it, you don't really feel like you're reading. The author does a great job of actually putting you, you feel like you're there. So that's what I would recommend.
Are you a hardback guy, Kindle or audiobook? What do you?
Both, but well, not audiobook.
Okay.
I'm too ADD for audiobook. I'll end up doing something else. I'll end up like scrolling through my phone or or something like that. I'll struggle. I'm not very smart, so I have to like take notes and I have to like write things down, and so as I'm reading, in order for me to really develop my thoughts, I have to actively like take notes. So
you write it in the book itself, or do you?
No, I keep a
a journal.
Yeah, I keep like, so just I keep like something like that.
Oh wow, nice.
Like with me the entire time. So
that's awesome.
I wish I had a photo memory that that could help me retain these things a little faster, but I don't.
Right. No, I feel you on that. Yeah, wow, man, I forgot that part. No, cool. Well, anything else you have you want to talk about, or any questions you have, or anything you want to plug?
I guess the final thing I'll say is in the past, kind of historically, I think Case has been shut out. People have looked at maybe price, or they looked at maybe the wrestling side, and they thought that maybe there's not enough there, or that they can't be successful. And so I guess the final thing that I'll say is what we're looking to build, and I've mentioned it before, a championship culture, but at the center is an elite academic experience. So, that's really what we're trying to do. And, I really want to make Case, available to Ohio. We have within our roster, we have, 13 states represented within our roster. And we have a huge contingent of people that are from across the country. But I'd like to, I'd really like to help build a presence, within Ohio and within our community, and start to build some pride here locally for Case. So, that's I guess the final thing, that I'd say. And also I love the work that you're doing. Love following, not just what you're doing with the podcast, but also what you're doing with the OAC. And so you found a way to keep pushing through all of this stuff, and that's really and you've innovated and you've changed, which has been really awesome to see. And at some point I'd like to talk with Zeb, so he sounds like a really good time, so I'd love to.
We'll get you on the other podcast. It's a little more different than this, more laid back, more story driven, I guess, but he's a good dude. Now that you're up that way too, we'll have to.
And I want to get him at a duel. I want to get him on a call. I just want like one event that, where my team's wrestling and something cool happens and Zeb throws out this awesome call. And,
Did you hear him on Cleveland State? He did Cleveland State.
That was
this year.
He did Cleveland State and what was that, Buffalo
he did I think all their home matches this year, and obviously people like, Zeb, I'm a Zeb homer, but he did it by himself. I mean, what sport do you have where it's one guy and he can do it himself and keep the conversation going?
I don't know. We were talking before. I don't know him aside from just his content. For a long time, he's just been a straight hustler in the game. I mean, he's he's really given a lot of people access to Ohio wrestling that without him, who would have seen those moments?
Exactly.
And so he definitely he definitely deserves the credit for that, because I know for a fact there's certain things I would have never seen. It would have just been legend, right? Just folklore.
100%. I'm with you on that. I tell him, I was like, because he shoots so much content. I mean, he's at 3-4 events in 1 weekend. I was like, give me your best 3 moments of the weekend. I can't watch everything he shoots. Just give me your top 3. That's what I tell him, the best moments. But 100% right. I mean, he's been doing close to 15 years now, and I mean, even we wrestled at Kent together, and he would video matches just because we'd had the video up there, but he'd video. We were at Clarion, and he put that up on YouTube not too long ago. But he would even video for the team back then. He's just and captured content that you would never get in the stories, and it's pretty cool. So
absolutely.
Well, thanks, Coach. I appreciate it. Always enjoyed catching up. We'll have to get together this summer with Zeb and get together and hang out. So
I get up to the Jet Express and maybe bike week up there and see if
get a hold of me, man.
I'll get a hold of you. So no, I appreciate you.
Thanks.